How's your week been?
Yeah, busy, productive, school. Whew, yeah, there's a lot. Busy, productive. Yeah, those are the two words I'm gonna use. Yeah. I'm trying to see. Okay, I'm trying to put us side by side.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, cool. We're good. Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you for being down to do this.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Mhm. So, full disclosure, I'm gonna set up my studio situation better because this is bad. Like I'm literally in the basement. It looks rough, but baby steps.
Yo, I feel you. I was gonna do it in my living room because I had nowhere else to go, and I was like, no, like I can't.
Cool,
So
cool,
I
cool.
found like the clean corner in my room and
Yes,
just
I can tell. And this is my clean corner.
right.
Yeah. So yeah, listen, thank you so much for being part of this. So I actually put up another video
Hmm.
last week. It was a record school edition on Afrofuturism.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was based. Where did the idea come from? Yeah, it's been a long week, man, but a lot happening. So the idea was, okay, we are finishing African Heritage Month, but
Mhm.
we can always, look forward because of the idea of Black History Month, African Heritage Month, and then African Futures Month, where there's all these three different, ways of addressing it and that kind of thing. And so I'm like, okay, let me dabble into Afrofuturism. And also, the first one I did was kind of a a response to the insurrection, the situation in Washington. So I was like, okay, let me see what's happening now. And then the end of February, and then kind of, African History Month looking beyond. So that's kind of what that was about.
Nice. I'll
Yeah.
watch it after.
Yeah. But I say that to say, so it'd be cool if we can put ideas together and continue this, at whatever pace, right? Monthly, whatever pace works.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's start. I got my copy of the Underground Railroad here. Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead.
Nice. Should I grab mine? It's right there.
And you know what? You have to take the lead because this is your idea. This
You're right.
comparison is right. Yeah, I'm
You're
here. You take the lead.
okay.
Nice. We'll do them twins.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your idea, the comparison.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm gonna start with when I made this comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was actually watching Queen Slim in the theater with a friend, and in between my tears, I started thinking about, oh, this really reminds me of like one of my favorite books. So I had gone home and reread The Underground Railroad. And I was like, wow, like there are a lot of parallels between the movie and the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oop, sorry, I think you froze.
Okay, what about now? We good?
Still frozen. Oh, I think it's better.
Okay, I'm gonna stay still. Keep my fingers crossed. Thumbs up.
Right?
We good?
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I literally tilted the
But
screen. It caught me freezing. I'm in a very danger zone, but so far we're good.
we're gonna make it work.
We're gonna make it work. Yes, yeah.
But yeah, so I noticed that there's a lot of parallels between the book and the movie. And so basically, when you had pointed out that you saw that I was reading this book, I mentioned to you that, oh, there's like, if you like the book, you'll like the movie, and the movie has a lot of parallels. And so that's kind of how this all came about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm just going, and so yeah, we'll let you take the lead, but I will point out some of the footnotes and the technical aspects of
Mhm.
it. So full disclosure, I discovered that you were interested in this book when my grade 9 students and I were looking at your intro video, and you were standing in front of the
Mhm.
bookshelf. I was like, hey, Colson, so I'm always trying to look at people's
This one.
exactly, and most people's bookshelves are more impressive than mine, but it's still a lovely way to check to check out what someone's vibing with and what someone's into. So that's how it came about. And so, and that's how the conversation started. And so Colson Whitehead, the the Pulitzer Prize winning author, and then this is not even his most recent book, right? Have you read Nickel Boys
Oh,
yet? Yeah. I think you'll like it. I mean, I would say, full disclosure again, I would say
I think you froze
unfiltered.
again.
Hold on. Let me move. I'm gonna move to the oh, bit. I'm gonna move over a little bit. Thank you for your patience.
No, no, I get it. That was me.
Yeah, hold on. I'm moving. The lighting is gonna get worse and worse and worse.
It'd be like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. Hold on a second. I can go right in front of my bookshelf.
Oh, we'll both have our bookshelves.
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Just want to fix my lighting, all right?
Okay.
Let's see here. This is trial and error. I'm going to get the notes too. Sorry, I'm almost ready.
Oh, take your time.
Okay. Am I still frozen?
You're good.
Okay, let's try it this way.
Okay.
All right, so, okay, where was I? Yeah, Nickel Boys.
I
Right.
read it. I actually own it. It's right there.
Nice. Um, yeah, I don't know. What do you think in terms of the two?
Um, Honestly, I prefer the Underground Railroad, but I really liked Nickel Boys as well. It was a different kind of energy for me, I guess. Like with the Underground Railroad, I feel like I was a little bit more connected to the characters than I was with Nickel Boys. But
Mm.
Nickel Boys was also a very sad story. So
Yeah. And then, okay, so we should mention anyone that doesn't know Queen and Slim, fine,
mhm.
but they got to watch the movie. And
Yeah.
this is written and directed, no, okay, written by Lena Waithe or produced by
Yes.
Lena.
It was written by Lena Waithe and directed by Melinda Matsoukas.
Melinda Matsoukas of the fame of the Formation video and Cranes in the Sky video, and she's done a lot of directing for Insecure as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
So okay, so that's our footnotes and everything. Okay, cool. So let's just get into the comparison.
Okay. So should I share my screen in terms of the comparison?
Go for it. Yeah.
Let me do that. Oh, never mind. Can you enable screen sharing for me, please?
Yes, thank you. I feel like the dinosaur. Okay. Maybe you should tell me how I can do that.
I think go to screen share at the bottom, the green button.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Advanced sharing options. Right? Maybe?
You just have to do multiple participants.
Okay. Try now.
Yep. Thank you.
Cool.
Okay. Can you
Okay,
see my screen?
let's do this. This is good. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now we're in school. This is good.
Right. So welcome to my PowerPoint on Queen and Slim versus the Underground Railroad.
One other context that I should give too.
Mhm.
Right. So, okay, the record school concept is mine, but I want to make sure that we're part of community. You know what I mean? So, you're in it and you're welcome to, share with that title. But even more so is that we're both educators, right? And so what I've been thinking about, you know, throughout my whole career as a teacher, but more so now, is that like the the way I look at music and culture and connect it to academics and everything like that is part of a, for lack of, to be melodramatic, a vision of what school and more classes can be,
Mhm.
right? And I guess that's kind of where you're at too. You're going to be entering the professional world of teaching. And I would imagine that this kind of observation analysis, what you have created here is, a curriculum resource. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine you're preparing yourself to bring this into schools in your own way.
I
Am I-
do. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't just for you and your friends. This is like, okay, this is where I want
Mhm.
to put my ideas into education,
Yeah.
looking really far out. Okay. So yeah, that's part of what this is too.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think that's important, right? Like disrupting the norms,
Mhm.
bringing in a whole new like energy, a whole new perspective.
Yeah,
And that's what I want to do with my teaching.
right. Okay, let's go for it.
Okay, so welcome to the Underground Railroad versus Queen and Slim. Uh,
Mm,
and this is just a very short analysis of the many parallels I found between my favorite book and my favorite movie. There are spoilers, heads up, but it's worth it, I think.
right.
Okay, so we're going to start with the characters. So I found a lot of parallels between Caesar and Queen, and then Cora and Slim. So Caesar is from the book and Queen is from the movie. And so with both of those characters, they asked their partners to go on the run with them, and they were firm in their decision to leave. Caesar and Queen had more of a dominant energy compared to their partners, and were often responsible for calling the shots and navigating and determining the next steps. And unfortunately, both characters died before the other. Whereas with Queen Cora and Slim, they were asked to go on the run. They both refused at first, both stalled, but then realized they didn't have much of a choice. Um, and their relationships with their parents had a significant impact on their stories, and they both outlived their partners. Then we have Ridgway and the police and the FBI. Ridgway was on the hunt for Cora and Caesar. The police and the FBI were on the hunt for Queen and Slim. So that was a very easy parallel to make. Then we have Homer, who is Ridgway's secondhand man type of energy. And he basically would not do anything without Ridgway. He did everything Ridgway said. He looked for fugitive slaves. And that's kind of how Homer moved. And then there was the man who turned in Queen and Slim. And so he worked with the police in order to get the ransom amount of money. Um, and in a way, so in the book, Homer physically chains himself to be close to Ridgway at all times. And so I kind of made the comparison that the man who turns in Queen and Slim physically, mentally, and emotionally chains himself to money and greed.
I forgot about that detail about Homer physically chaining himself to Ridgway.
Yeah.
I
That
forgot about that detail.
was something very interesting to me when I was reading it. I was like, wow, like, I wonder why, you
Yeah,
know?
and the book is written in a very, he uses a lot of imagery that I found powerful. I literally have an image of Homer in my head.
Yeah,
Is it the detail where he maybe describes Homer like taking out a key to chain himself, or
yeah, it's that part.
right? And then I remember, I think of Homer as a very gentle guy because he takes. I have a bunch of notes next to me, but I'm also holding up my computer. It's a bit of a mess, but I have an image of Homer when he takes out Ridgway's notes.
Oh.
So and Homer is one of the characters I find most fascinating in the novel. I was going to ask you a question and try and go deep and say to you and ask out loud, do you think Homer's free? Well, he's not free,
Mhm,
but I don't know. He's not free, but he's not um, oppressed or he's not enslaved like the other black people in the story.
mhm,
Um, so they play with that, or the author plays with that a little bit. And I was also observing, because yeah, he's a fascinating character. He's also valued for his brain.
Mhm.
Can we argue that because Ridgway trusts Homer with his dictation of his thoughts and also the economics of it and how much money Ridgway is going to get for his character for returning Cora.
Mhm.
So those are some of the thoughts that stuck out with me for Homer.
Yeah. So, do you think that Homer is in some way, shape, or form kind of enslaved as well?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Down. I can't see myself, but anyway, we're just gonna go with it. Yeah, I would say he's enslaved 100%, but in a different way. So maybe maybe there's a layer there
Yeah.
because I would say they all are by the world that they've been born in, the system that they live in, right?
Mhm.
And that's kind of maybe a comparison between Queen and Slim as well,
Mhm.
because we're fast forwarding, we're in present day, but we still see the oppression and the whole system that these people they find themselves in, and they're trying to find some freedom.
Mhm.
Maybe even at the end of Queen and Slim, we have the idea of escaping being physical borders, and then maybe they can find freedom in Cuba, right? So we want to give a shout out to Asada Shakur in that regard. But Homer, yeah, Homer, nope, he ain't free.
Yeah.
But he does have more, I don't know, more leverage, more different opportunities, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Who do you
It's
think? Okay,
pardon?
okay. Here's a question: of
Okay.
the characters in the characters in the Underground Railroad, who gets closest to freedom, or who is the most free, or who's the farthest from straight up oppression? What's the spectrum, would you say?
That's, I mean, of all the characters,
Hmm.
it would definitely be Terrence, right? Because Terrence is like the plantation owner, right?
Ooh,
So,
no, so yeah, not of all the characters, all the black
all Black characters.
characters.
Um, I think honestly, that one's kind of hard for me because I feel like on the surface, my answer would be Homer, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But I feel like it's just a different kind of oppression. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it's interesting. When I read the book, I actually thought Homer was Ridgway's slave. You
Yeah.
know, you know
Yeah.
what
Of
I mean?
course.
hmm So I don't know. I think it's
Who's to argue that he isn't?
exactly right. So he may like Ridgway may say, "Oh no, he's not my slave. Like he can go if he wants, but he chooses not to."
Right. Right.
But is that true?
Yeah, and he's young, and we can say that there's mental slavery there, or
Exactly.
you might call it Stockholm, but like I guess what choices
hmm
does Homer make on his own?
Right. And I don't, like I feel like even the chaining himself to the buggy to stay close to Ridgway isn't necessarily his choice. It's kind of like this is what I'm accustomed to.
Hmm.
Like I have nowhere else to go,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
What an interesting example of symbolism,
mhm.
right? When you get ready to introduce this as your full novel study, this would be his. I mean, the book is full of symbolism, but his actions would be a really deep study in conditioning and symbolism and
Oh
being
yeah.
being enslaved, beyond the physical,
Mhm.
um, the direct physicality of some of the other people who are enslaved.
Exactly. Right.
So, maybe that's where the Pulitzer Prize comes in play,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So yeah, that's a good response. But I think he might be one of my favorite characters.
Homer?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a villain, but he's
Mhm.
sympathetic, and oh man, I can just go deep with him.
Right. It's funny. I didn't even think of Homer as a villain. I just thought of him as kind of like not lost, but like this is his one option. He's
Yeah,
young. He doesn't have anywhere else to go.
it's true.
So like.
This is true. Maybe yeah. So maybe he isn't.
Mhm.
Maybe he isn't, but he's still a really fascinating character, and
So,
much deeper than I would say the man who turns in Queen and Slim.
oh yeah, I was gonna ask, what are your thoughts on him then? Do you like him as much or?
The man that thinks Queen and Slim.
Mhm.
Good title, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Like, full disclosure, and this is just the reality of teaching in COVID and everything else. I didn't get to rewatch that part.
Okay.
I remember him very much, but but I can still remember well enough because I did do my research. I don't find him as compelling as Homer.
Yeah.
Um, I think now what do I think of him? I think that's the tradition of what I'll say he's more a not a vehicle but an element of good storytelling and the honesty of it. Like
Mhm.
there's betrayal. I don't think he's a full character. I think he's just kind of like the forces that Queen and Slim are swimming against or moving against. One of them is betrayal because the people who are part of their world, their allies, or other fellow Black people, if you will,
Mhm.
some are going to be stronger than others, and some are going to be susceptible to persuasion and betrayal and betraying them and all the rest of it.
Mhm.
So I think it's a realistic thing.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching the movie, I just had so much faith in that character. I was like, like he's gonna come in, he's gonna save them. Like, yes, like look at my Black people move. And then he did what he did, and I felt betrayed. Like, so betrayed, So
And good for the writers for doing that, right? Because
Mhm.
maybe it's funny because maybe it would be very Disney like if he didn't betray the characters. And here's one. He's making me think of Daniel Cameron. I think I'm getting his name right. Daniel Cameron is I want to say Daniel Caesar, but no, not Daniel Caesar. Daniel Cameron is the district attorney, right? The U.S. district attorney, that the one that kind of let down the Breonna Taylor case. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, his name is Daniel Cameron, I believe.
I have his face etched
Yeah,
into my brain.
yeah, he was the one that charged the cops with wanton, not endangerment, but like shooting up the wall,
Mhm.
basically letting all the cops off the hook. He was Black.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah,
there's a lot of different parallels, and
that's true. I didn't even take that in.
yeah, so we see it. Yeah, look, we're seeing it in these stories that are so realistic because it happens.
That's you say that, and I remember when I heard that he decided not to convict the police officers.
Mm.
And the same feeling I felt is how I felt when I was watching that movie. The same exact feeling, like my heart literally dropped. So
Yeah,
that's wow. Like wow.
yeah. So that character, I mean, I think he's realistic and just
Mhm.
part of the struggle that
Yeah.
they're trying to be show in a realistic way. I would say.
Yeah, no doubt. That's so true.
Mm.
Oh man, that's something I have to think about. That's such a good point. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, no. Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay, so those are those characters.
Mm.
We also have Terrence, who's the plantation owner, unnecessarily aggressive, uses excessive force. I personally think he's inherently evil and despicable because he's insecure. And then he dies. And in the movie, the white police officer that assaults Queen and Slim, just like Terrence, unnecessarily aggressive with Queen and Slim, uses excessive force, is on a power trip. Um, he's also insecure clearly and he's feel bigger and he also dies in the movie.
I'm just I'm looking at inherently evil.
I know. Yeah.
Right? Are people inherently evil? I mean, this is philosophically. That's a philosophical question. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but so it's like I'm getting hung up on inherently. But I guess the point is like they are evil people.
Yeah. And I think
That's the
maybe
point. We're not going to dispute.
mhm. I think there are definitely inherently evil people, but I think also
So you're a
maybe
nature versus nurture. You're on the nature side, not on the nurture side.
no, I'm on the nurture side. I'm definitely on the nurture side. But I think maybe he's not inherently evil, but he's just a really bad person. Like,
The evil, I would say so. I'm not saying,
yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm
Mhm.
nitpicking.
I have to be more careful with my words
No, no,
when I'm
no,
dealing with an
no,
English
no, no, no.
teacher. But yeah, yeah. So there's those characters. And then, so these are my characters that I think are very interesting that I found a direct parallel with. So there's Martin and Ethel.
Mhm.
And Martin and Ethel in the book, they take in Cora and keep her safe for months. Martin is super kind, super friendly, very welcoming towards Cora. He takes the time to converse with her and answer all questions she has. But Ethel, who's his wife, is very mean to Cora. She's very cold. And it's largely rooted in the fact that she thinks Cora is the reason why her and Martin will get killed, which is exactly what happens at the end of the North Carolina chapter.
I was surprised by that. I
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, I was surprised by that. And
Oh,
then,
really?
yeah, I was. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have been, but I was. But
Hmm.
that chapter was maybe, in my opinion, one of the most. Uh, it was, for lack of a better term, it was one of the deepest, most kind of profound chapters because I might have realized late, but I guess anyone that's reading this book realizes, oh no, she's kind of just enslaved all over again. There's
Hmm.
no exit out of here. Like this is a problem.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. And I started feeling really concerned for her, which
Hmm.
is, I think that's exactly what we're supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was interesting because she was able to just, look at North Carolina, look at the park, look at the lynchings, and it was almost like mentally like, wow, what is she? It just kind of feeling what she's going through.
Hmm.
Um, and then even, yeah, it was a really vivid, powerful section of the story because the action of the railroad stopped,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, okay, this is now she just got she's stuck here. There's no options of anywhere else to go.
Exactly.
And look what's around her. Uh,
Right.
yeah, and just and how she kind of observed the world, and I have my notes next to me, but I'm trying to think about how Colson Whitehead described the people in the park. Trying to think if he described them as different, different kinds of white people, whether it was um, kids, adults, people who were they were there, they were entertained, right? There was, like in different classes of them. Some of them not much more, if I remember correctly, not much more above, you know, educated or above class than she was, like poor whites, I guess is what I'm saying. Poor whites, and everybody had to just kind of join and take a look at the lynchings and all that kind of stuff. And she was kind of, very close to that terror herself.
Hmm.
And it's like, how is she going to get out of this?
Literally. Yeah. I remember when like reading, she was in the attic. Every page, I was like, is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna? Will
Mhm.
someone find her? Will she end up on the tree? Will she end up getting lynched? Um, so yeah, no. I think I was more surprised that they lynched Martin and Ethel than I was that she did.
Right. And what a powerful, yeah, what a powerful, thing to think about. Like, okay, this world is going to devour these people. I'm pulling up my book here. I want to see. I might have some. I got a lot of notes, but let me see if I have one. And not, to, I don't mean to derail you.
No. You're doing great.
Is this part of the North Carolina stuff? It is, I think. No, it's not. And okay, what do you think? Well, hold on. Let me not take you off track, right? Because we're looking at the characters.
Mhm.
I was going to ask you about South Carolina versus North Carolina, or maybe that comes later.
No, ask away.
Just in contrast, right? Because South Carolina, they became part of society, and she was walking around, and she was on an elevator. Yeah. And then kind of back enslaved in a new way,
Yeah.
just north of the border. I'll let you go ahead because I'm being disorganized.
But it's funny though, like not haha funny, but when I was the South Carolina chapter, I was like, wow, like look at how they're flourishing, look at how amazing this society is. And then as we got deeper into it, I learned that it was all fake, right? Like there was so much that was going on under the surface
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you just wouldn't have known, you know? And in many ways, it's like with North Carolina, you outrightly know this is what the society is, you know? It is very much steeped in racism. It's very much, you
Right,
know,
right.
right? But with South Carolina, you don't know that. You think you're part of the society. You think everything's okay. And I don't know which one I think is worse. You know, like,
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. That's a good thing to think about.
yeah, what do you think?
I'm going to say the North Carolina. I'm going to say
Yeah.
the racism is worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had this debate with somebody, and they
Mhm.
compared racism in the U.S. versus Canada,
Mhm.
with the characterizations that in Canada the racism is more subtle.
Yeah.
Right? It could be more mental and more, under the surface, more hidden. Versus the U.S., it's more brutal, it's more overt, it's more overt. And I said, well, I think it's better here because the racism there has more of a direct body count,
Yeah.
right? It's more overt, and therefore more violence, and therefore just takes more lives. So on that level alone, I'm like, okay, let me just, I would say I would prefer the mental subtle stuff
Mhm.
first. And in the story too, in the story, it's kind of the same thing, right? You see Martin and Ethel are lynched, and she's looking at lynchings every day
Yeah.
from the attic. So I'm gonna say that I think the more overt violent stuff is worse.
Worse. I feel that. And that's facts, right? Like it hits you differently, you know? Like when you don't see it in your face all the time, you can almost feel like it's not happening or almost not encounter it as much, you know? So I get that. I definitely get that.
Right. I
Mhm.
have a quote here. Let me see if it fits, just so that I can be cool and make because I did my research. Let me see. Um, see, it's from page 117, the North Carolina chapter. Da, 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 da. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. I don't even remember when I underlined this, but the whites came to this land for a fresh start and to escape the tyranny of their masters, just as the free men had fled theirs. But the ideas held up for themselves, they denied others. Cora had heard Michael recite the Declaration of Independence back on the Randall plantation many times, his voice drifting through the village like an angry phantom. She didn't understand the words, most of them at any rate, but created equal was not lost on her. The white men who wrote it didn't understand it either. If all men did not truly mean all men, not if they snatched away what belonged to other people, whether it was something you could hold in your hand, like dirt, or something you could not, like freedom. The land she tilled and worked had been Indian land. She knew the white men bragged about the efficiency of the massacres, where they killed women and babies and strangled their futures in the crib. Uh, So I don't know. Why did I highlight that bit? I think maybe I was just thinking of her analyzing the language and the hypocrisy and the legacy of deciphering the language and recognizing that as she sat in the attic. It's like she had time to really think because
Mhm.
the movement stopped and she had time to think about kind of the world around her, the language that's attached to it, the hypocrisy of it, and even tie in the real history with the natives. Like I think, oof, that was a powerful section in the novel.
I definitely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the reflection of everything.
Right. And I'm kind of blanking on how long she was in the attic for.
Me too.
I know it was a while. Okay.
Yeah, 6 months, maybe I don't know if a year, but yeah, a
Mhm.
long
Okay.
time. It seemed like forever. Like, oh my god, this is not going to end. This isn't going to go fast. This chapter is not just going to. She's not going to get rescued. Even Clarkson kind of started to give up,
Mhm.
right? And the maid the whole time was she was paying attention. It was
Hmm.
fascinating how she told Ridgway about the food and the smell.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny because that means like then she probably do you think she knew from before and was just waiting for the right moment?
I think she It's nice that he created the character so well that we can really imagine. I think over time she knew.
Hmm. I feel that. True.
Okay.
No, she's very interesting to me as well. So, mhm.
Next, I guess.
Okay. Keep going. There's Big Anthony in the movie, sorry, in the book. Big Anthony was brutally murdered by Terrence for attempting to run away. And with Big Anthony's murder, it was done publicly. So Terrence did it in front of all of the slaves on the plantation, invited all of his friends to come. And he did that not only to show his friends, like, look at how powerful I am, but it was to show those who were enslaved, like, this is your faith if you decide to run away, if
Yep.
you decide to defy me, right? Um, and so I kind of drew a parallel to, like, in the movie, although they didn't make any explicit references to victims of police brutality, like they didn't talk about, like Trayvon Martin, they didn't talk about Sandra Bland, but it's clear that they knew about those victims because when they were like, we have to go on the run, that it's motivated by the fact that they see how, like,
Right.
what happens, right?
No sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So
True.
that is something that I was like drawing to. And after watching countless videos of, like, it's kind of like just like how Big Anthony was done publicly.
Hmm.
When we're on social media, we see videos of people who are being murdered constantly. And so after watching those countless videos, just like those on the plantation, the slaves know what their faith will be. Queen and Slim knew what their faith would be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a fictional movie, it's a bit of excellent that moment and that aspect of it is like, okay, this is directly nonfiction.
yeah,
What they are experiencing is what we're experiencing.
exactly.
The lines didn't blur at that point. Or they, I guess maybe the lines were crossed between their reality and the reality of the audience.
Hmm. And I think Lena did an amazing job of doing that when she was writing it, because a lot of the things in the movie, even though like not all of us are going on the run from police, like that's not our reality, but a lot of the movie is something I feel like we can all relate to on some point, especially Black people, right? Like whether it's with the knowledge of those who get murdered by police, right? Like of police brutality, whether it's because of like little kids going to protest, we all see little aspects of ourselves in the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
she did a great job of doing
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. That's that. We have the station agents in the book, which is just like the mechanic and his son in the movie. Um,
That was one
both,
of my favorite parts of the movie.
pardon?
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That was your favorite?
One of my favorite parts of the movie.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. The mechanic's son, when he first acknowledges
Hmm.
Queen and Slim. I forget the line. I should have it, but he's like, y'all are the ones on TV, right? Or it's something, and he lets them know, and that's when it shifted because for
Yeah,
me, they were on the run. Okay, they're gonna get help with the car, but the danger's still there. But then, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because you're gonna be you're the role of the expert on both and the
mhm.
son lets them know, he kind of acknowledges that he supports them. Am I right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. And I was like, oh, nice. Okay, that's where this is going to go. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, I really love that feeling that I got from
Mhm.
seeing him do that.
And I think before the son said that, we actually meet the dad first, and the dad was not having it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah. So they were still in danger when the
Yeah.
dad
Exactly.
interacted with them, but the son kind of shifted everything.
Mhm.
It was like a layer was, peeled back. Okay. Because I didn't expect that.
Oh, really?
Because the dad set the tone, like, okay, they're still in danger and they're putting the father in danger, and this is still just them versus the world.
Yeah.
But then that's why the son kind of said, okay,
Switch, right?
yeah, it's not just them versus the world.
So, what do you think about when the son was at the protest and then did what he did? Do you remember that part in the movie?
Kind of. Oh man, he do something to a cop?
Yeah, he shot a police officer.
I forgot that part.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. I think you need to tell me what you thought of it.
Okay. Honestly, I was very shook. Like it happened and I was like, no, 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 no. Like we don't do that. We don't do that. Um, and so I'm pretty sure he also passed away. Like I'm pretty sure he got shot back.
Mhm.
But when I watched that, it kind of just reminded me of like, I don't know. It's so I guess what the movie was trying to tell us, like he kind of not he didn't get radicalized, but I don't know. It was weird for me. Like I kind of had this like push and pull with it where I'm like, I understand that you're passionate, but like
The
why
audience.
would you, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know what I think.
And that's good. I mean, that's powerful storytelling, right?
Hmm.
We can at least, be clear of that. And
Hmm.
is it a situation where we are usually not the aggressors in this dynamic, when we respond to racism, anti-black racism, police brutality, but maybe in a film you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, this character is going to do it this time.
Hmm.
That might be something. And then, a real world parallel could be how, yeah, we are the victims of the violence in this regard, right? But then you look at the riot at the Capitol in Washington, and you saw, these white supremacists were violent, right?
Yeah.
They're actually, so we are the ones that get blamed for destroying property, but lives actually were lost, and it's like these racists, right? These white nationalist people. So that's an interesting way of comparing the film to the real world, where it's like you see what really does happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think with that boy, I would say maybe Lena. They just decided to take the feeling and actually put it into action
Yeah.
in film, where you can use film that way.
Hmm. I think what really surprised me though is the cop he shot was a black man. You know? Yeah, I think that like that's why I kept going back and forth with it because like he was like, okay, we don't want to hurt you. Like, this isn't your place. Like, you need to go home. You need to be safe. And then he pulled out the gun and then shot him. Right. So I was very confused as to how that happened, you know?
Nice. What a powerful thing for them to give us. Well, is it because I don't know? Maybe the lives that are lost are a result of this system that we are in.
I
You
think so.
So if you put on a uniform,
Hmm.
you are taking a side and you are taking a position within a system that a lot of it is beyond your control,
Hmm.
and the consequences, and the cop sees, the kid sees that, and
Yeah.
the cop feels. And I remember now, this is the garage scene, right?
No, it's the protest scene. Protest.
It's bad. Okay, let me just. But yeah, maybe the cop feels, and rightfully so, he can still make a change. He, as an individual, I'm just empathizing with a black cop.
Hmm.
We can assume a lot of them do want to make positive change. However, they're trapped in a larger system where they are seen as an enemy in a lot of circumstances, and this is what happens,
Hmm.
at least in the movie, and in a lot of people's minds.
No, that's true.
Mhm.
So this is kind of a side question.
Right.
Um, I know a lot of people say something not to the same degree, but something similar when it comes to teaching, where like the education system is rooted in racism, is rooted in colonial narratives, right? Like
Right.
I'm also in teaching, right? So
Right.
we're
Right.
both kind of in the same position. In your opinion, do you think we're kind of in the same position as the Black cop, where we come to make a difference, but we're still trapped in like a larger,
It's a good question. To some degree, but there are more differences than similarities, big time.
yeah, for sure.
The system that we work in is it's built from colonialism, right? In terms of education in North America, and also the idea of training people to be employees, and training people um, to accept certain values about what should be learned, how things should be learned, and who students and kids should be learning from, right? It's all Eurocentric,
Yeah.
sure. Um, but the education system is different from law enforcement because it's about education.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So education, if you think about it, it transcends of any border or any nationality. And that's kind of the way you have to look at it. Whereas
Okay.
law enforcement, I don't think it does. But education at the root of it, it transcends any kind of colonial barrier. And I think maybe that's what we're doing here, is we realize, if you really think about it, if you're educating, then you are going to challenge the system. If you need to, you're going to do what you need to do to educate the right way. And that is, it's almost like, well, I was going to say it's almost like art, but if we just focus on education, there's there's a constant push forward to get it right because the world is always changing, and we always have to be really educating, which is doing what, which is understanding and preparing youth to understand and to develop ideas, to challenge ideas, to think about them more. And so education is way different than law enforcement.
Yeah. I feel you. And I think what you were saying with education is meant to like educate, right? Like a friend told me something and it became my framework for how I move as an educator. And it's disrupt, dismantle, and rebuild, right?
Sure,
Like that is what we need to be doing right now, right?
sure. So I don't know about how law enforcement philosophize what they do. So that's what I'm saying. The differences are way beyond any type of similarities.
Okay. Thank you.
Walk away. If you're, oh no, am I doing the same? No. You're not doing the
Not
same.
at all. Okay. So that's basically it for the characters. There are some similarities with the plot. We have the experience of being fugitives, the safe houses, South Carolina versus the bar and Queen and Slim, um, them falling in love with each other, North Carolina versus the Shepherds, the slave reward versus the $500,000 bounty, and then the North versus the death, right? Right, those are the grand scheme. And then there's three that I really want to highlight.
Hmm.
There's falling in love. And so in the book, Caesar immediately, or not immediately, but very quickly falls in love with Cora. But Cora tries her best to deny it and keeps her guard up. And it's the same with Queen. So you
Yes.
can see that Slim is feeling her, definitely likes her, but Queen is very guarded. And she keeps up for a really, really long time until they get to the bar and they start slow dancing.
Right.
So there's that. We have the safe houses, which we already addressed, where in the novel, um, Cora and Caesar are in the dormitories, and then um, Cora is in the attic. And then in the movie, Queen and Slim find refuge in Uncle Earl's, which is Queen's uncle, at the bar and with the shepherds. And then the last one is South Carolina versus the bar. South Carolina is where they were able to kind of move around freely, even though they were still technically on the run. They still felt kind of liberated.
Mhm.
And then with Queen and Slim, when they were at the bar, that was the one time where they were actually able to relax. They even drank, and Slim doesn't drink, so you could tell that he was in a more
Not
chill.
good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Even kind of the language that had the bar scene was so powerful. I
Yeah,
wasn't thinking blues music, but I was like, of course, yeah. It was forgotten, but it's very authentic, right, to the South.
yeah.
And the bartender's like, "Hey, killer," or something like that. I remember they kind of they joke with him a little bit. She does even a gunshot to them,
Mm.
and that's, I don't know. It was, you value everything that they've been through and the safety they experience, even though in the world that they live in. I mean, it's only, I think it's only for one night.
Yeah, it's like a couple hours.
Yes, yeah. But it was powerful, and that's a great parallel.
Yeah, that was my favorite scene too.
Mhm.
So I love that scene. I think like not only was it where they fell in love and they did it in such a beautiful way, but like I felt safe. Now in the movie, that was the first time where I felt like I could breathe again. You know?
Here's a that's really interesting. In the novel, did you ever feel safe? I wonder. Because
On
in South Carolina, I was like, "Whoa, guys!" Because at one point, I think she said, they put it off. He even described the language, or like, so I'm like, we should leave. Maybe we should stay a little longer. I think he described that their language started to change. Then they started to mention it less and less.
Mhm.
And then even Caesar had another female companion or something. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Mhm.
I guess you can identify the humanity in them. They've been
Mhm.
through so much. Maybe they're going to indulge in the idea of being safe. But as a reader, I'm like, no, 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 guys, I think you should just get back on the train and go.
Mhm. Same as you. I did not trust South Carolina. Like, did not trust it at all. And I don't think I ever felt calm in the Underground Railroad.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think. Actually, I lied. At the very end, when actually no, I don't think I had that feeling.
Good for the writer. Maybe, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't. The end. I don't know. I did at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got to. Yeah, because Ridgway was dead.
Yes.
Ridgway. So
Right.
okay, cool. This will work for me.
I think the only reason,
I've been moved enough. Okay, this will work.
yeah, no, I think like the only reason why I wasn't feeling safe is because now she's just progressing to the unknown, right? Like, who
Mm-hmm.
knows who's still looking for her,
Yep.
where she's gonna end up next, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very real point to make about her situation.
Mhm. Even like the station agent, one of so before the black one came, the white one came, and she turned them down. And I was like, even like I don't think she even felt safe at any point. Even when she got into the
Yes. Yes.
yeah, right. Even when she got on with the black station agent, I think she was also still scared. Like she went into a corner. She didn't like she spoke a little bit, but she wasn't like super friendly, right? So
Mm-hmm. No, what a cool theme is the idea of fear. Like, and like, okay, maybe, with Colson Whitehead's novel, we're not supposed to feel safe at any point. We're supposed to feel scared for them. And I guess in reality, I mean, when would they feel safe? And despite that fear that they live with,
mhm,
gotta do what you gotta do. So
exactly.
it kind of connects to the idea that Toni Morrison plays with in Beloved, where she oh my god, what's the character's name? Anyway, Beloved is her daughter.
Mhm.
That's bad. It's been a long week, but she kills her daughter before after she runs away. When the slave owners come to catch her, she tries to kill her kids
Mhm.
to keep them away from being re-enslaved.
Yeah,
So it's like the only way to kind of escape that terror, a mother can protect her kids by ending their lives so that they don't have to go through that again. They don't have to live as slaves and even die as slaves.
yeah. No, when I was a kid, I actually read a book about how a lot of women who were like in the process of going on the transatlantic slave trade, like that journey,
Mm.
would sadly like kill their kid to protect them from slavery, right? Even like on plantations, a lot of women would do that. So yeah, no, I see that.
Yep, yep, yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. We have the soundtrack, which was amazing. Good.
Yes.
Mhm.
I wonder. I wonder if that visual is much better than my.
Oh, do you want me to bring it back?
No, I was just gonna say, has there been any movie as powerful visually since? Or is it just a situation where Melanie Matsoukas has to come up with something else, or what do you think?
Honestly, like my love for Queen and Slim transcends no bounds. Like I thought it was cinematically beautiful. I left thinking about how like every scene was just so powerful, right? Like the aerial shots, the way they captured the characters, the way they captured the environments. And I personally haven't seen a movie that has paid so much attention to the cinematography.
Really, I'm gonna chat. What about Moonlight?
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I know, I know.
Okay, fair enough.
I need to though. It's on my to watch list.
Okay, that's a good segue though. Okay, Okay. So this was an excellent comparison. Good for you. So thank you for sharing that, by the way. Thank you for putting it together. Have you shared it with other people?
No, I mean, I'm lying. I shared it with my friend Sophia and my friend Theo, and that's it.
Nice. So I think we we have to figure out a way to share it in a way in an amazing format, like obviously YouTube. But let's make sure we do that,
Yeah.
and then yeah, and then you just mentioned Moonlight, and you mentioned I'm just thinking about what's next. You mentioned this right over here, Between the World and Me. You mentioned that, right?
I just bought it. It's new. I
This is a deep dive. This is a deep dive.
haven't read yet, so all your thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess what that means is that we have a lot of potential analysis to do. But I like the film. I wonder if there's a book companion to Moonlight. I'm sure there is.
Mm. I'll keep my eyes out.
Yeah. Take your time, watch it, and then the light bulb will go.
Mhm. I was
Yeah.
supposed to watch it last weekend, and then school happened. So, yeah.
Um, I'm looking at how bad my lighting is. Next time we're gonna get that sorted out. It's all good. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much for letting me.
Yeah. So okay, cool. So we'll sign off for Record School for now.
Okay.
Take care.
You too. Bye.